Coming to you live for the final time during this Premier League campaign. It's me, Conor McCabe, alongside my co-host Lucas Dazinski as part of the Stakehouse. Lucas, mate, we've almost lasted a full season. I say almost because we didn't start right at the start, but we've made it to the end. How good does that feel?
Yeah, good. Debut season, right? So it can only get better. Stayed up, hopefully. We'll see.
Onwards and upwards. I think we avoided relegation. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. We're not back yet for the new season, so who knows?
Absolutely. Let's see what summer content instead of signings we can come up with in the meantime as well. Looking forward towards the new season. Any ideas that you've got out there, please do let us know. Before we dive into the final round of fixtures, I think there's only one place that we can start. I've literally had to drag myself up off the floor to do this podcast today. We have to talk about the Europa League Final. I mean, listen, in terms of the game itself, it was, you love your pub reference of the Golden Lion versus the Dog and Duck. I think it's been knee-jerked a little bit. I don't think Spurs were as good as most people are saying they were, and I don't think United were as bad as most people are saying they were, but what is a very common theme is both sides were absolutely terrible. In terms of the game itself, like when Spurs set up 4-3-3, and they've got not one, not two, but three holding midfielders, it takes a hell of a side to break that down, particularly as that first choice back four is really strong. The one thing that you cannot do is give away a soft goal. That's what United did. The first goal was always going to decide this game, and they paid the price for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because maybe Ange is actually finally trying to adapt his gameplay. He's gone like a full circle, right? For ultra attack to basically ultra defense, parking the bus ultimately, right? I mean, look, I was watching that game in play, and I was betting in play for United to score because I honestly thought they would. They were just kind of getting balls in. They were getting a few good chances. I feel United were quite unlucky not to get at least a draw out of that, considering the XG was quite even, but that the goal they scored was like 0.88 XG, so really they didn't really create anything, right? They had that one opportunity scored and that was it. So yeah, I feel like United bit hard done by, I reckon.
I think your comments on Ange are absolutely bang on because it's the legendary line. It's just who we are, mate. I'm not even going to attempt the accent, let alone the voice. But the ironic thing is, it isn't who they are anymore. And you notice the change, I think, in the quarters against Frankfurt, right? When they drew 1-1 in London, they went to Frankfurt, who are seasoned pros in Europe in the last few years.
Yep.
And I think most people expected, me included, them to go out at that point. And that was the game. Solanke scored. They battened down the hatches and came away with a 1-0 win. And then suddenly it was like, hang on, Ange has decided to become pragmatic. They did the same going away to Bodo Glimt, who have made a lot of other teams look silly in the Europa League. And Spurs absolutely dismantled them and picked them off with a couple of goals. And they did the same in the final. So, Ange, I'm really sorry, but it's not who you are. But I think it's working for you. In terms of United, you could talk about them all podcast. No one wants to hear me do that. But the one thing that I will say, the most disappointing thing about everything that's come out of this is actually after the game. And after the game, for Ruben Amorim to come on and say, oh, look, if the club want to get rid of me, I'll walk, no compensation. That is, from my manager, the very, very last thing that I want to hear. Because that is the words of a man with 1 foot out the door already. That's the words of a man that thinks, this job, I signed up for it without really knowing what I was getting myself into. And to save my coaching career, I need to get out. That's what language speaks to me, screams at me. In terms of United, the last thing we need is more managerial upheaval. He needs time, but he needs to be committed to that project. If you're in any walk of life, in any organization, right, the people that you manage at work, you don't want to hear after a mistake. You don't want to hear one of them say, Lucas, look, if you want to get rid of me, mate, I'll just leave. That's not what you want to hear, is it? You want to hear, Lucas, I know where I made my mistakes.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do to correct them, and this is how I'm going to fix them.
Yeah, but how much time can you give him?
At least another season. At least
a whole season. What if they're still terrible by Christmas?
But he has to be given it, because otherwise we're going to go to a summer of buying his players. It can't be square pegs and round holes with another manager coming in and then trying to manage Amorim's players. Amorim has to get the season, but again, only if he wants it. If he doesn't want it, get out now.
This is
Stop
why
wasting our time.
you have a proper sporting director and you buy the players for the club and not for the manager.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And
That's
ultimately,
what United need to do, right?
the say-so was too still strong with the manager for United. Absolutely, like Ten Hag buying another 3 Dutch players. I mean, what percentage of the players Ten Hag's bought had he played with or against in his career? It was ridiculous, right? So absolutely agree with that. But it's just not language you want to hear the manager use. And personally, as a United fan, I don't think the players have stopped playing for him, by the way. I think they left everything on the pitch. The season's been a shambles. But what I want to hear from my manager is, this is just the beginning. I knew what I signed up for. I knew this was a long process, and we are going to get it right. So his words were depressing.
Okay, what about Ange? Is Ange staying?
I mean, what a situation he finds himself in. We almost owe him an apology. The fact that he did turn it round and he came out with a trophy. Say what you want, Tottenham have had the second best season in England, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately he deserves credit for that. For me, though, I still think he has to go, because the problem is, Spurs fans are so back and forth on him, right? It's Angie in, it's Angie out. Now it's Angie in again. And the problem is, they'll make a bunch of signings for Angie this summer.
Yeah.
What happens, right, if Tottenham are 10th to 15th after 2 months? Then Angie goes, and all of those players, again, because Tottenham buy for the manager, I think, more than the club. I don't think they've got a great sporting director.
And also, they're going to be doing the same thing as saving their players for the Champions League games, right? So it's going to be like a replica of the season where they finish whatever, 17th, whatever it is.
But Angie hasn't conducted himself perfectly, but at the same time, some of the treatment of him has been really poor. And I think he could do a lot worse right now, because this might be the best standing
be a bigger
he has at
person,
Spurs.
right?
Yeah, 100%. But this also might be the best standing he has at Spurs. It might be the time saying, told you I'd win something in my second season. See you later. Could be, right?
Champions League, though, maybe he might want to just stay put.
Give that a roll. Right? And you can't blame him for that. But I worry from next season still. Let's see. Because at the moment, both Spurs and United apparently have cultures of players that can only be bothered to show up for the very, very biggest games. And when it's your run-of-the-mill bread and butter of the Premier League, none of them have got it. And until either side addresses that urgently, then it's going to be another long season next year. Anyway, let's get into the more pressing issues at hand, which is the final day of the Premier League season. We know who's going to win the league. We know who's going down. So there's only one race we need to talk about. And
that race was 17th, 16th between United and Spurs.
Just won't let me forget it.
Can't believe they're on 38 points. That's mental.
Well, fingers crossed we can get past that 40-point mark, the official survival status. But let's talk about the top 5 race. I mean, coming to the first game, it's Forest versus Chelsea. How do you see this game going, and how do you see the race overall?
Look, it's quite interesting actually, because a lot of the pundits, weeks ago, months ago, said, "Look, the season's over. It's not going to be an exciting end, right?" But actually, it's probably the first time in a while where the race for Champions League and Europa League is kind of wide open. Champions League, sorry, that's the most important one. It's kind of wide open, and look, anything can happen. There's so many, Chelsea could drop out of it. So it's going to be really exciting what happens. Going back to this game, I went to Chelsea United and Chelsea weren't great. They had to win that game, had to win the game. I thought United played well and they just edged the game 1-0. Saying that, they're going to Forest, who, is going to be at Forest, the fans are going to be probably up for it. They need to win, right? So they're going to go quite aggro.
Do Chelsea need to win, or will a draw do them?
No, they need to. It depends, because they're on 65 points, 7th. Villa's 66 points, but they got extra 4 goal difference. So it depends on other results. But really, they need to win, right?
I think a draw does Chelsea.
No, sorry, Chelsea. Yeah. A draw for Chelsea. Yeah, but Forest need to win. They need to win.
Sorry,
right?
Yeah. Forest have to win.
Yeah. They have to win if they want to get Champions League football. So look, it's going to be quite an entertaining game, I think. Talking about bet wise,
do you think Chelsea will just sit and park the bus?
Nah, I don't think so. That'll be. To be honest, they've been so poor lately. You never know. the one decent game they've had in the last like month or so was probably against Liverpool, and that's the game we put bet on. So that was a bit frustrating.
Good time on it,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got the model as Chelsea being 0.26 goals better. So very tight game. Saying that, I think Chelsea haven't been great, to be honest, lately. I don't know where this is going to go. It could go either way, to be honest. I'm not going to put a bet on it. I'm just happy to kind of watch this exciting game.
Yeah, I can see that. I personally not back the draw, but like you, I'm steering clear of it from a betting perspective. But if you push me for a tip, I feel like Chelsea might just edge it. Nottingham Forest overall stats have been in decline.
Yeah.
And I think,
but it would just be so good if Chelsea somehow bottle it. It would just be amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
But no, I can see it being 0-0 for a long time. I think Forest will get increasingly desperate. They'll throw more and more.
But that's the thing. If Forest score early on, they're good at just holding on to that, right?
This is it. So first goal in this game again is crucial.
I think it could just be one. I think it could just be one goal in it, right?
I think it can end 1-0 either way.
It could be an angle. Wonders.
Exactly one goal in the game, maybe. Because if Forest score first, you back them to try and hold on to that 1-0 lead. If it stays 0-0 for a while and Forest get more desperate, Chelsea might pick them off. So that could be a little angle, but I don't think it's one either of us are going to officially go with.
No, the price looks not bad. It's like evens and unders.
Under 2.5?
Yeah, 2.75.
Okay, under 2.5 at even money, not a terrible shot, and even consider the under 1.5 price then. Let's talk about the next game in the race, which is Newcastle versus Everton. I've got a tip on this one because I think Newcastle will just want to put this to bed without any semblance of doubt, any question marks whatsoever. Everton have got little to nothing to play for, so I have got an official tip. I've got Newcastle on the Asian handicap at minus 1.5 at 1.97. So that bet, just to explain, that bet basically means Newcastle have to win by 2 goals or more in order for our bet to win. If they don't win by 2 goals or more, then our bet loses. But listen, Newcastle...
Isak's potentially injured again, right? So
it wouldn't worry me. Ultimately, Newcastle have to win this game to guarantee Champions League football. I think they'll win in style. So that's my
Everton
official...
on the beach, innit?
Yeah, exactly that. And the St James's Park crowd behind them. Great season, winning a cup. Now go out on a high and win the Champions League. I think that'll happen, and I think there'll be a couple of goals up by half time actually, and then I think they'll coast through. So Newcastle to win by at least 2 goals. So it's their minus 1.5 bet on the Asian handicap market.
Yep.
Let's move on. Man United versus Aston Villa. Are United going to bounce back here?
I think so. I think there's a lot of value on United, to be honest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be back in United. I feel like they're gonna last game of the season, right at home. They've had a really bad season. I think everyone's feeling a bit down. They have to go out and just give a good performance, right? Saying this, I guess United, they've got nothing to play for really, so that could work in a favour, right? Whereas Villa, they need to get a result here. Again, they need to win to guarantee them Champions League, right? So
exactly.
Well, they need to win and hope for other results to go their way. So they're going to be going all out. Saying that,
if they win, they're in. If they win, they're in. Villa, top 5. Oh no, actually, sorry.
No, because if Chelsea win as well,
yeah.
So
sorry, yeah. So they need to. They
for
have to win to give themselves a chance.
So I think United's a bit of value, so I'm going to be back in United plus 0.75 at 1.92. So basically, if it's a draw, we win. If United lose by 1 goal, we get half the money back. So a bit of insurance play. I can't see Villa turning up and completely smashing them. But
well, look, it's nice, fitting. We're going to end on our final episode with a head-to-head clash. So
you back in Villa?
100%. I'm
against
back
your
in
own
Villa.
boys.
against my own boys, 100%. United just don't need this game, right? The mood is so negative. They're so reeling. They finished 16th. There's no Europe next season. There's no money. There's no nothing, right? The last thing that they need is this game against the side pushing for Champions League football. United just want this season over. They want to forget about it.
Finish on a high, innit?
I don't see that. And against
Boylan
the Villa
hat-trick.
side, by the way, Villa side that have had way more time to get rested and refreshed for this game than United. So much more time. And I think Villa at 1.81 is fine because I think Villa will go there and win.
My model's at basically 0. No one's got basically if this was a neutral venue, then Villa will be edging this. But because it's at United, I've got nothing between the two teams, so I expect it to be a draw.
I get it, but all I'm saying is, in my
motivation,
view,
obviously their
considering the Villa motivation, motivation, and the United mentality, I think those factors combined make Villa a bet at 1 point.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Let's move on. Bournemouth, Leicester. What's the model saying?
Bournemouth like miles better than Leicester. 1.45. I got no bet on this. I'm going to be lumping on Bournemouth assets for FPL though. Hopefully Clivert can perform for me. But in terms of betting angles,
Fantasy Premier League there, just for everyone. Yep.
Talking about betting angles, nothing.
Okay. Kind of similar. I think Bournemouth will win the game. Fulham versus Man City.
Interesting. Obviously, Fulham managed to beat Brentford, which was very annoying and depressing. But yeah, Brentford I think deserved to win that game based on like chances created, etc. But Fulham playing at home, last game of the season. Man City haven't been great. Let's be honest. Like they've just been quite poor, I'd say. I think Fulham could be a bit of value here, you know. Fulham plus 1. So basically what that means, if Fulham lose by 1, you get your money back. So all we need is a draw or win, right? So yeah, I feel like Fulham plus 1 could be a good shout.
Okay. Is it official?
Yes, it is official.
There you go. Final day official tip from the data guru himself. I can see the value behind it as well. I mean, obviously, Man City are in a position where Champions League football is not 100%.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I mean, they. Yeah, it's well. They could. They kind of. Well, they need a win, right? As well.
I think the other thing they'll be thinking is they want to be avoiding a Champions League playoff. So not only a point would secure it.
Is there Champions League playoff?
For fourth, yeah. Fourth and fifth, probably.
Oh, really?
No, fifth might get in automatic. I don't know. I actually don't even know. But I think Man City will want to solidify third anyway. So
yeah, motivation again on their factors big, right? Like, but I only got City 0.26 goals better than Fulham, so that's why I think plus 1 is actually quite a lot of value.
Yeah. Fulham love a home game against a big side.
Yeah, they do, but also like look, played Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, and then they were really good, and then second half they just
stopped playing,
gave up. Yeah, they just like don't know what they were doing, but they just let Chelsea take the initiative.
It's nice of you to back them anyway after what they did to your boys last week.
I did say last week there was a bit of value on Fulham, remember? So.
There you go. I wonder if anyone out there was on it. Let's move on. Talk about Ipswich versus West Ham. I think this is not a game that many neutrals will really want to watch. No. Ipswich, the one thing I'll say about them, they give it a better go than the other two promoted sides. Fair play for that, but ultimately even they had nowhere near enough. West Ham, I think Potter's got a huge summer personally ahead of him. For this one, I'd probably say West Ham narrowly. But no bet.
Yeah, no bet. Happy to move on.
What's the market say? Just quickly. Not the market, the model.
Basically, nothing in between. So, really even expecting a draw.
Okay. Liverpool versus Crystal Palace model.
So, I mean, again, I feel like we need to be really careful in the season, right? Because there's a lot of rotation, motivational factors, etc. I have model at Liverpool being 0.65 goals better, so the market is saying giving Palace a handicap of 1.5, so there is value, and I think I will be back in Palace, even though they just went to Ibiza a few days ago. But
Did they actually?
yeah. Was
Were
it
you there
2 or 3
partying with
days
them? Were
ago?
you?
No. It was all over Twitter. Some guy took a
Okay.
photo with Glasner at Gatwick Airport. Yeah. But look, they're back now. I backed them against Wolves, and I didn't know what to expect, right, after the FA Cup party and stuff like that, and it was only like 3 days after that. But look, they rotated a few players, but still, I'd say, put out a pretty good, strong lineup. Feel like, obviously, Liverpool, last game of the season at home, they're going to want to go strong. But like Liverpool, they haven't been great. Like, let's be honest. Like, they're obviously on the
Since
beach.
they
I
won the
don't
league,
care. And
done,
like,
isn't it? It's dropped off.
yeah, and I feel like Glasner, like even at end of the last season, right, they had nothing to play for, but he was like still pushing his team, right?
That's a good point. Yep.
So I feel like there is, there obviously might be a bit of rotation. Gahey's out, something to do with his eye socket, something like that. But I feel like the value we're getting is quite significant. So I'll be back in Palace plus 1.5.
So in other words, we only need Palace to lose by a goal to win the bet.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as they don't get smashed, then it's fine.
Cool. I mean, personally, I don't know if I'd be touching it. Go off to win the FA Cup. Go off to have a party.
Athletes, they don't get hangovers.
Go off to Ibiza. Come back and get a result at Anfield. I mean, it's the stuff of dreams.
I mean, look, I think
Literally.
they got. Well, I don't know when they went. I think it was Wednesday, and then I think they got back Thursday. So look,
That was only a 1 day thing.
yeah, oh yeah, one day, yeah. So
Okay.
like they got today to train, tomorrow game Sunday, right? So
Can you imagine if they win? Like every Premier League side will be doing midweek trips to Ibiza next season. I love
yeah,
it.
not sure about
All right.
that, but
We've got 3 games to go. We're going to go on talk about Southampton versus Arsenal. I mean, I'm assuming the model's saying Arsenal by a country mile.
yeah.
I don't personally have a bet. The market looks
No.
about right to me. I think
Same.
something uneventful like 0-2.
Yeah.
Tottenham Brighton. I do have a bet. I confess that I made this bet before the Europa League final. Looking at it now, I'm not as crazy about it as I was,
What?
but I'll go ahead
Tottenham?
with it. No, I've got Brighton to win. I've got Brighton to win because I think Spurs will still be out partying and celebrating Brighton again with a lot more time to prepare for this game. And I
Yeah.
still think Herzler needs a strong finish to the season. The thing that's confusing me at the moment is that I backed Brighton with both teams to score in this match. With the way that Tottenham set up in the Europa League final, that bet now doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So
I mean, they have the parade today, right? We're recording this on a Friday. They're having the parade. Tottenham plays the parade today, so they're obviously going to be boozing hard for that again.
I still like my Brighton angle though. I just don't like
I'm saying it's
teams to
it's
score
good.
angle.
Well, it's good for your bet, right?
So I'd remove the both teams to score element and just I don't know the exact price on Brighton, but I'd just back Brighton on the handicap markets in this one on the Asian side because
Yeah.
again Tottenham's league form has been dreadful and I don't think anyone in a Spurs of a Spurs persuasion will be the least bit bothered about this game. So
Yeah.
I think they'll find it funny that they finished 17th and still had the second best season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got Brighton there. Wolves versus Bees. Can your lot finish on a high?
I don't know. I think like all our hopes were deflated with that Fulham loss. That we need Tottenham to beat Brighton and for us to win to get us 8th, right? Which don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, look, I hope we can finish on a high. We always want to finish as high as possible. Frank's like even last season, all the seasons we had, even though we weren't fighting for anything, we're always finishing on a high. So I feel like we'll be going all out. Saying that, don't think there's too much difference between the two teams. I've got Brentford like 0.05 goals better, so market's probably more or less there. So not going to be betting this.
Okay, I've got a bet on it as a finishing shout. I think there's going to be goals. Both teams
Okay.
at the moment are kind of playing you have a shot, we have a shot. Wolves are doing it, particularly at home. Brentford are doing it in every game. And they really, really are entertaining to watch. And you can get 2.5 on there being 4 more goals in the game. I think it's a very, very fair price. I expect Brentford to go there and score a couple of times. I think Wolves, very similar. Another good angle, if you want one, is to look at both sides to score at least 2 goals each, which is a common market across most bookmakers.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to explore the goal actions. And the way that I might actually do this is ladder up. So a big chunk of my stake on over 3.5, a little bit smaller on over 4.5, a little bit smaller again on over 5.5. I wouldn't be shocked if we got a result like 4-3 here, 4-2, 4-3. So don't be afraid to exploit all of those different goal levels on this bet. So that's going to go down as an official tip over 3.5 at 2.5. So to summarize my angles, I have got Villa to beat United at 1.81. I've got Newcastle minus a goal and a half at 1.97 at home to Everton. I've got Brighton to win away at Spurs. And I have got Brentford Wolves to contain over 3.5 goals. Because of the tweak of one of my bets, I'm not 100% sure of the acca price, but I imagine you'll find somewhere between 13 and 15 to 1 for that fourfold. Again, no, we advocate betting primarily as singles in terms of the most optimal betting strategy. What have you got?
So I only have the 3 bets. So I got Fulham +1. 1.86. I got Palace +1.5 at 1.87, and then United +3/4 at 1.94.
Cool. All right, and that's it. It all comes to an end for the 24-25 Premier League season. Thanks for everyone out there who has listened to the Stakehouse and built up our massive regular following over the season. We appreciate you all. Look out for us over the summer. We will be dropping some content regarding general betting strategy in terms of, improving not just your habits around betting, but the optimal ways to bet. Certain markets you should look at, different things like this, and deeper explanation of what markets actually mean. And some other creative content such as pundit ratings and different things like that we might look at doing. So keep an eye on the Stakehouse over the summer. Make sure you have those notifications turned on. And either way, we'll see you bright and early for the 25-26 season of the Premier League. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.